I know a lot of you guys watching this right now think that I hate Sig, which I don't, and you think I hate the P365, which I don't. How can I hate a gun that I literally have 5 of? I have 5 P365s, including the XL. The P365 XL that you see here, the reason it has Talon grips on it, and the reason I have a custom A&R design holster and the gun has a TLR6 light on it is because I carry this gun. This is the XL P365. It has the longer grip, longer slide, and I've been shooting this gun quite a bit, and I love the way the gun shoots. It's been reliable. The only thing I've had is a little bit of rust. Now, somebody sent me a picture of their P365 they carried, appendix, and it had considerably more rust on it, which isn't supposed to happen because I thought it was stainless steel with a tough finish on it, but that's another topic altogether. Mine has been a really good handgun. I love it. I trust enough to carry it. So I don't hate the P365. So when I found out about the SAS P365, I was really interested. Now, previously the Meprolight FT Bullseye sight, I wasn't all that interested in. It wasn't on my radar. It typically is a sight that you would buy for around $100. It's available on Amazon, and you can slide it into the rear dovetail of pretty much any handgun that they offer it for. So it just replaces your rear sight. Well, Sig decided to take the P365, the standard smaller version, unfortunately not the bigger XL. Hopefully they'll get around to putting this on the XL if I like the sight. I don't know, I haven't shot it yet. That's what this video is about. But they took the P365 and they applied the SAS treatment to it, which is the Sig anti-snag technology. And what does that mean? Well, it means they pretty much take anything off the gun that could possibly snag. And in this case, they took the sights off the gun and put one of these Meprolight FT Bullseye optics on it. So this is the new SAS. Comes in your little P365 box. Yes, I do buy these things. I didn't necessarily pay that price, but my local gun store sells them to me. Sig isn't going to send me a teeny gun. They hate my guts. But here is the P365 SAS unfired, which is what we're going to do today. Excuse me. We're going to start shooting it today, see how she works. Now, this gun has gone through many internal evolutionary changes. The original P365s broke strikers like mad, and Sig insisted there was not a problem. You'll still find apologists on the internet saying, oh no, there's no such thing as striker drag, or if it is, it's common in all handguns, whatever nonsense that they're spewing. Yes, some guns do it. Some guns are designed to deal with it, like the Glock. If you take a look at a Glock striker, it's not round, it's square and comes to a point. You can put all the lateral stress you want on that striker and you're not going to break it. It's properly engineered. But the early P365s, the striker stayed protruded during the cycling of the action, and they would heavily smear that primer. The problem was the striker wasn't designed to take that lateral force, so it snapped those strikers over and over again. Now, Sig said it wasn't a problem, but I have enough of these guns in my possession to know that they've changed the striker design significantly 3 times, and they've changed the springs on the striker, increasing the weight at least 3 times, maybe more. But I have at least 3 different versions of the striker. This gun may have a different version yet, I'll check. But the problem was strikers were breaking. Sig denied there was a problem while making changes behind the scenes, a lot of changes. So let's see if this little gun has any issues. Now, it seems that the problems with the strikers breaking has evaporated, and Sig, to their credit, has fixed it. It would just be nice if they owned the mistakes and didn't try to cover them up. But that being said, the P365, in my opinion, is a very innovative gun. Sig does great innovation. I love my Sig Rattler. When I travel, my Sig Rattler goes with me. I carry my P365 XL. This thing has no striker drag whatsoever on it because Sig got rid of it. They engineered it out of the gun. Maybe we'll see the same with this gun. I'm hoping that's the case. But the P365 is very small, has a patented 10-round magazine, which is absolutely tiny. And when it came out, it was the only gun of its kind that was this small. Yeah, there are other small guns like the G2C and stuff like that, but this one's smaller, skinnier, and just better feeling and better shooting. I loved my first gun right up till about 800 rounds when it broke, and it was an internal spring. It wasn't even the striker. And that was another problem that Sig ultimately, I think, fixed. The SAS, as you can see here, has no sights on it, has a ported barrel, which I don't care for. On the other side of the gun, you'll see that it has a slide stop slide release. For some odd reason they left it there where you can actually feel it, but it's completely useless. It's recessed to where it's just barely protruding from the frame, but this was apparently in an effort to reduce snagging, and then they got rid of the takedown lever. Again, I don't get it. Let me show you what the standard takedown lever and slide release looked like on the original P365. The XL is very similar. That's what they changed. Now, I don't see how this would snag. I've never had a problem with those teeny tiny, very flush controls snagging on my earlier SIGs, but okay. I think it's more of a marketing gimmick than anything, but in the process of doing that, they got rid of the slide stop slide release and they took away your disassembly lever, so now you have to use a rim of the case or a flathead screwdriver to take your gun apart, where before that wasn't necessary. So, the sight is what really makes this gun stand out. I'm gonna go ahead and close this because it's windy today and it's gonna blow all the stuff inside the box around. But this sight is really what makes it stand out. Now, if you took a look at the Meprolight FT Bullseye sight before, again, it would dovetail into a rear sight. You'll see that Sig has completely machined the slide in such a way that it is recessed into the slide. Really cool. The only problem is, potentially, you have no way to adjust elevation or windage on this sight. So if the gun doesn't shoot to point of aim for you, you're never going to be able to fix it. With the original FT Bullseye sight that you would dovetail into a rear sight, dovetail, you could at least adjust windage elevation. There was no adjustments on the sight anyway. So I've not seen any problems reported with these not shooting to point of aim. Now, the gun is designed for inside of 10 yards fighting, self-defense. So the sight is not a long-range sight. It's not advertised as a long-range sight. It's advertised as a short, close-distance sight. Now, they say that it's possible to make 25-yard shots, but the guys over at the Firearms blog, James Reeves, did an outstanding video with the guys at Nolatech Training and Brandon LeBouf. They did a really good video showing the difference between this gun and a standard P365 with standard iron sights and how accurately they could shoot the gun. So there is an accuracy difference depending on the shooter, and I'll link to that video because it's a really good video and I don't want to repeat their testing. So if you're curious about how all this sight works, please check out that video. I'll put a little card up above. All right, so let's load this gun up and do some shooting with it. We've brought out some Federal 9mm. We'd like to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying us with 9mm. We have some 124 grain Syntech ammunition, and we also, I believe, have some 115 grain standard ball that we'll be shooting through the handgun today just to get some rounds through it. Hopefully this little gun works properly, and we'll continue our evaluation, and we'll tell you how it is faring at 1,000 rounds, 1,500 rounds, because I do want to shoot it quite a bit to see how it handles. Now, you'll notice over here on the table, we have a whole bunch of magazines. The reason we have a whole bunch of magazines is because our friends over at Gun Mag Warehouse supplied us with the magazines for our P365 way back in the day when we first started doing our videos on the Sig P365s. So we'd like to thank our friends over at Gun Mag Warehouse for supplying the magazines to the channel. And if you'd like to pick up some magazines, they have really good prices, usually really fast shipping. And again, that's gunmagwarehouse.com. All right, so we've got the magazines loaded up. We're gonna start shooting at our challenge steel targets here on our new handgun range. And we'll see how this new P365 SAS performs. All right, I'm really excited to try this little SAS pistol out. We did lubricate the gun with some LPS lubricant. I'm gonna grab a 10-round magazine with some of the 124 grain ball Syntech. I've always liked the fact that Sig has really good stippling on the grip, and then they have this little shelf here for stripping potentially stuck magazines out. You wouldn't believe how many gun companies forget to do this. I really, really like that. Again, I love the design of the P365. All right, let's check this side out. Now, I have fading old man eyes, and the dot isn't as bright. If I put my reading glasses on, not bright, as sharp. If I put my reading glasses on, the dot and the circle are extremely sharp. But without them, I can still line it up. Let's see how she does. Well, that was high left. Right on top of the other one, high left. I'm shooting a nice group high left. I'm aiming right in the middle of the lungs. Beautiful group in his left shoulder. Awesome group. I'm really chewing up that left shoulder. That one went off the left edge, just clipped it. Yeah. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards away, and I'm aiming here, and I'm shooting a beautiful group in his left shoulder. And Jason, were you aiming for the lungs?
Yeah.
And you're just a little bit lower, but you shot him in the left shoulder.
I mean, I had that dot right in the center of that thing, so.
Well, we're going to set the tripod up and we'll show the viewers that we're not screwing around here. Unbelievable. Let's take the P365 SAS apart, but first I do want to address what comes in the box. You're going to get an owner's manual that makes no mention of any of the SAS features whatsoever. It doesn't tell you how to disassemble it. It doesn't mention the Meprolight sight, how it works, if it's adjustable or not. All this talks about is the original P365. Again, no mention, no addendum about the P365 SAS. You get an advertisement for ammunition and cheesy lasers, Sig ammo, which is really good ammo. I like their ammo, swag. And then you'll get an extra magazine. This is a 10-round flush fit magazine. And in the gun, you'll get the pinky extension, which I like, 10-round magazine, which gives a little bit better grip. All right, and then your flag safety. Let's put that away, and let's do a disassembly of the gun. Now, not having a manual to tell me how to do it, I'm assuming it's fairly simple. So let's go ahead, drop the magazine out of the gun, and make sure the weapon's clear. Now, the slide stop, you can actually get a little bit of meat of your thumb on there and push up on it and lock the slide to the rear. Releasing the slide is difficult and not practically usable on a reload. So you're going to have to slingshot the gun to reload it because of this truncated slide stop. So let's go ahead and lock the gun to the rear. Now, traditionally, you would have a lever that you would just rotate down. Instead, we have this slot, which happens to be about the same size as the rim of a case. Again, this is not mentioned in the owner's manual. I'm going to turn that one way or the other here. All right, turn it all the way. Looks like it goes a little past horizontal there. And there you go. No trigger pull required. And the slide comes right off the frame. All right, pretty much standard 365 affair on the polymer lower. On the slide, we have the traditional P365 nested recoil springs. And then we have a ported barrel. You'll see the ports in the slide here. Looks like here's your chamber. Looks like you have about an inch or so of barrel before you have the two ports cut, which you're going to vent a considerable amount of propellant gases and a little bit of barrel left after that. Conventional button rifling. Putting it back together, drop your barrel in, put your nested recoil spring in there, put your slide on the frame, and sometimes with the others, you could pull them back and let them go, and it would automatically flip your disassembly lever back into the locked position. That's not happening here for me. So it just did it. Okay, so when I pulled the slide to the rear and pushed up on the slide stop, it just locked itself in the locked position. All right, so field stripping the gun or disassembly of the gun isn't all that difficult with the SAS modifications. What we're about to do, please don't do at home. We're 5 yards away from a steel target. We are using federal Syntech ammunition, which is intended to be shot at steel targets. It does not have a copper jacket, so it reduces spalling, but still there's a good chance that we can get hit with lead fragments at the distance we're about to shoot at with non-frangible ammunition. So Tom Taylor did an interview, who's from Sig and his personal defense world, and he said that the gun with this sight was optimized for 5 to 10 yard usage. Now, we just shot groups at 8 yards and we were way off to the left-hand side of the target at 8 yards. I've moved it up to 5 yards. We'll use the sights and see where we hit now. All right, here we go, 5 yards, both eyes open as you're supposed to use it, and let's see what we get. Three yards didn't make much of a difference, and that's not surprising. Aiming right here at 5 yards and hitting right here at 5 yards. As with the original P365, the recoil impulse is really muted on this thing. I can't really tell you if the ports are really working. The original P365 didn't jump around a whole lot. It's a pleasant handgun to shoot, so was the original. All right, now the sights I've already established on this particular gun. Not true necessarily of all of them, but as luck would have it, my $500 gun is worthless to me because the sights don't work. Let's see if I can point fire from 5 yards the P365 without using the sights. Just kind of hold center mass and fire. So if I don't use the sights, the gun works just fine. And I've pretty much trained myself to point fire at close distances anyway. All I need is that front sight. Here I didn't even have a front sight. I'm just holding the gun down below the line of sight, and I can easily line it up and make a hit. What's mind-boggling to me is this thing is perfectly in line. It doesn't look visibly out of whack, but it's so far off at 5 yards. All right, so it looks like the gas venting is pretty much straight from the side of the gun, and that is not even tearing the paper, so it's not going to, outside of throwing gas and particulate into your face, when you fire copper jacketed bullets, copper jackets break particulate off, and that will vent from these holes. Now I'm shooting Syntech because we're at close range to steel targets, but it's not going to kill you, whatever's coming out of the end of that barrel and the vents or the ports in the barrel. It may tear up the clothing, but that's going to be the least of your worries if you're in a gunfight for your life. If you don't have glasses on, there is a chance that you can blow particulate straight into your face or into your eyes. But again, it shouldn't be too bad based upon what we saw here firing like that. You should be okay. Your face should be somewhat shielded, or your eyes should be shielded somewhat from it by your cheekbones and things like that. So others have brought that up, and that's why I wanted to conduct that test to see just how bad it really would be. Now we're going to fire some 115 grain jacketed projectiles. This is federal ammunition. Then we have the 124 grain Syntech. We have 6 rounds of each loaded into this magazine. The point of this exercise is to demonstrate that it's not the ammo that's causing the massive point of impact shift, it's actually the sight. First up is 6 rounds of the 115 grain ball. All right, guys, that is like on the very edge of the target, very edge, left side. Now, this is 6 rounds of the Syntech 124. So, it's not ammo specific, it's not shooter specific. Jason is having the exact same issue of shooting far left. The sight's just not working on this particular gun. So what about the issue of striker drag with the new P365 SAS? Using 115 grain and 124 grain ammunition, and we got pictures, the striker drag is significantly reduced. It's almost non-existent compared to what the original P365 would do, which would be to drag that primer cup to the very edge of the primer pocket. Now it's just a slight drag, which is normal and other guns do. It's not cutting that heavy trough. So the internet experts are telling you that it wasn't a big deal for the P365. Apparently Sig disagreed with the internet experts, because I have at least, as I said, 3 different striker designs. This is probably a 4th different striker design, and each time the striker drag has gotten less and less, and the guns are less likely to break their strikers. So I don't think the new P365s are at risk of breaking their strikers like the earlier models. All right, just wanted to let you guys know that the striker drag is almost non-existent on the new P365, and on my XL, same thing, non-existent. So Tom Taylor of Sig said that an average shooter should be able to hit a man-sized target at 25 yards with the FT Bullseye sight on the SAS. I'm at least an average shooter. Let's see if I can hit a man-sized challenge target at 25 yards. Miss. 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 A surprising miss. Another surprising miss. And I can't hit that thing to save my life by holding center of mass. I have one more magazine here. I'm going to hold off on the right edge and see if I can Kentucky windage a few shots in there. Okay, way off the right edge. Okay, so I'm holding one full man size to the right. All right, I only dropped one, but I'm Kentucky windaging. So if I'm the man that I'm aiming at, I'm aiming over here into space, and I'm hitting him at 25 yards. Yeah. The P365 SAS runs flawlessly. We shot 350, 400 rounds today. There's plenty of other durability tests out there. I have no question that Sig, by now, has most of the kinks worked out of the functionality of the Sig P365. It's a good little gun. I love the XL. Again, I carry it. But at over $500, this thing with the sights and rolling the dice, because Sig doesn't check it at the factory to make sure that the sights are actually on when they ship them, it should come with a piece of paper where they fired at least 3 rounds of test firing to show that the sights are at least on, so that this doesn't happen. This is a awesome $500 sightless gun. If you don't care about having sights and you just want a really reliable 9mm that you can stick in your pocket that you can point shoot, great option. Other than that, man, it's rolling the dice whether or not you're going to get one that's zeroed or not from the factory, and that really sucks. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, because we certainly don't take money from Sig, they won't even return phone calls, you can do that by following the link down below. We are supported by you, our viewers. We don't take money from the gun companies. We are viewer supported. Patreon, there's a link down below if you'd like to support us in our effort to bring you as unbiased information as we possibly can. Also, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. All right, sightless point fire gun. I betcha without the sights I can tear this thing up. All in the white. Yep. Awesome $500+ sightless gun. Point shoots awesomely. Thanks for watching, guys.